that quoted President Truman's press secretary, Charles Ross, as saying that President Truman has no knowledge of any secret project by this government that would give substance to the existence of such objects. Ross also said that both the Air Force and the Navy deny that such objects exist.
While our government's official position is not to speculate on this subject, we can choose to let our minds explore other possibilities, to use our imaginations. For if we consider that astroscientists agree on one point, that the possibility of life elsewhere is not only quite probable, some feel it is there without a doubt. Let us suppose then that these objects are real space vehicles, extraterrestrial in origin, and not an illusion of the mind.
There's nothing to hide. There's nothing to hide at all.
Hi, Suzanne. Wasn't expecting that. Everyone say hello to Suzanne. I forgot to take her out of the green room. I'll take you out right now. Caught her by surprise. Hi, guys. Welcome. Layla is behind me somewhere, barking her head off. Get it, Layla. I don't know what she's barking at. Hi, guys. I am a mess tonight. If I told you everything that has happened right before Suzanne and I went live, you probably wouldn't believe me. So again, my apologies for starting a little late. My apologies for springing that on Suzanne being on camera. She will be on later. I promise. She's going to join me for some of our stories tonight. But welcome to Somewhere in the Very Unorganized live stream. My name is Ryan Sprague. I am the host of the Somewhere in the Skies podcast, and this is a live stream we attempt to do every Sunday. But as Suzanne pointed out in the chat, I'm a rambling man, traveling man. I'm all over the world. Right now, I'm currently in my hometown, but I'm heading back to Nova Scotia, Canada, Tuesday to film more of my ghost show, and then I'll be heading home to Bonnewee, Scotland. I cannot wait to get back on the regular schedule with you guys every single week as we cover all the latest UFO and space related news. But we have a lot to cover tonight. It's going to be fun. I had to get rid of some stories. You know, Suzanne brings me so many incredible stories every week, but there's just too much going on in the world of UFOs. So we'll get through some of them tonight and maybe cover a few of them next week. Or we'll share them in our Discord, which we'll have a link for in the show notes below for you guys. Our very active Discord page where you can talk about everything we talk about here after the show and so much more. But before we get started tonight, I want to say hello to all of our regulars. I see you. I hear you. I love you guys. Wonder what Ryan will be drinking today. James Craig says, not a Scotch ale, my friend, but I've got a Canadian Pilsner for you tonight. Labatt Blue. This is a classic here in North America, basically. Well, not North America, the East Coast, I will say, of the United States and Canada. Obviously, it's got a maple leaf on it. I grew up with this stuff. Grew up with it. Probably started drinking it a little younger than I should have. But yeah. So we're gonna crack this one open tonight for you guys. Cheers to everybody out there. What are you guys drinking tonight? Whether alcoholic, non-alcoholic, coffee, beer, tea, water, sports drinks, energy drinks, what you got? Love blue too, Robert says. Cheers, my friend. Cheers to that. It has been miserable weather here in central New York. I flew in. Okay, let's start there. Here's a story for you guys. I don't even know if I told Suzanne this story yet. The plan was for me to film in Canada and then come home to central New York to visit my dad and my sister for a couple weeks. And I was so excited. I couldn't wait to talk to them, to see them. And if you guys aren't aware, in the United States right now, Newark Airport in New Jersey, they are going through it. They have been having major technical issues with their radar systems, which is terrifying. So they haven't been able to land all of their flights properly as they would like to. Literally the last thing on the planet I want to hear when I'm flying in and out of Newark all the time. Yeah, I see Suzanne nodding. It's scary. And of course, my flight from Canada to Central New York, I had to go through Newark Airport. So in Canada, I got a message saying, hey, your flight's delayed 2 hours. But not because of Canada. It was because of what was going on in my connecting place, Newark Airport. They said we had to delay flights because of the radars, so we have to delay your flight here. And at first I'm like, that's okay. And then I forgot I had a connecting flight. So I ended up getting 2 hours late into Newark Airport, and I missed my connecting flight to my hometown. Now, this usually wouldn't be a problem. They would just rebook you for the next flight. And I thought, oh, okay, cool. It'll be 2 hours, 3 hours, maybe 4 hours later than I'd get in. And they said, we can rebook you for 2 days from now at 2 p.m. Not going to work for me. Yeah, exactly, Suzanne. I won't tell you what she just did, but yep. So I rented a car and at the airport, and I drove home. However, what should have been a 4.5 hour drive home, I get to Newark, and I'm not kidding you. You guys probably aren't even going to believe me. I'm leaving Newark, and there was a parade going on for graduates at Rutgers University. Good for them. Congratulations to the graduating class of 2025. But I got stuck at the parade for like an hour trying to get out of the area. Finally got on the highway, and I'm like, it's smooth sailing from here, baby. But guess what? Guess who stopped me from getting home on time or at a decent time? Steven Spielberg. I'll explain. Yeah, exactly. Steven Spielberg is currently filming a UFO movie in Newark, New Jersey. And they blocked off half of the highway to film some big scene. And I got stuck in this detour, as it were, and it tacked on an extra 3 hours to my drive, plus the hour for the graduation. So 3, 4, what should have been a 4-hour drive turned into 8 hours. It was a nightmare, an absolute nightmare. So thank you, Steven Spielberg. Thank you, Rutgers University. I will not make the gesture Suzanne made, but I am feeling it psychically right now. I will leave it at that. I eventually got home, got to see my family. That's all that matters. Guys, take every chance you get to tell your loved ones you love them, to visit them, to see them, because you never know if it's going to be the last time, honestly. Been doing a lot of reflection while I've been home. It's been about a year since my mother passed, and every time I come home, it brings up a lot of memories, obviously. She's literally all around me. Photos, pictures, memories. And it's been beautiful. I went to visit her headstone in the cemetery this time, and it was pouring rain out. And I went to lean on the headstone to fix something, and I slipped, and I did a somersault over my own mother's headstone. And I was just left there in the mud. It was amazing. She would have loved it. I could see her right now saying, Ryan, you goofball, which is what she would always say when I did something goofy. And falling over her headstone could be considered a little goofy, in my opinion. So I've been having a good time, guys. Yeah, it's been fun being home. I went to a antique store recently, picked up some items that I showed you last week, but now I'm addicted. And I started going to more antique stores, and I picked up some gems today. I want to show these to you guys before we get to the news. The first one is, check out this old book, Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, based on the classic movie. It's so cool. It's got like actual pictures in it and stuff. Oh God, I don't know what's going on in that picture. I don't want to know. But it's got that musty old book smell. I love anything like nautical and like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, stuff like that. I've just always had I've been a sucker for that sort of stuff. So seeing this book and getting it for the price I did, ooh, man, do I feel lucky. And the other thing I got, this is so cool. The Rocketeer Bend'em toy. Do you guys remember the Rocketeer from Disney? I'm trying to get it without the glare. It's really hard. This was one of my favorite superheroes growing up. The Rocketeer holds a very special place in my heart. It was the first movie that my grandmother on my dad's side of the family brought me to see in a theater. And I just remember being in the big theater and I got my popcorn and the previews played. And then I got to see this really cool movie about the Rocketeer, and I will hold that memory dear. So I bought this for purely nostalgic reasons, but I looked it up and no, it's not the 50 cents you see there. This thing is worth quite a penny. So I felt very fortunate to get that book and that Rocketeer figure today. And now I'm an antiquer or thrifter, I guess. So I'm having a ball. I love being home, but I can't wait to get back to my real home in Scotland very soon. So yeah. I love WWE figures on 43. Andrew says, me too, buddy. I've got a whole closet of them. If I ever stop doing the wrestling podcast, you're the first I will call when I get rid of those. But I don't see that happening. I don't see it happening, unfortunately. Rocketeer is a very underappreciated movie, James. I agree with you. But yeah, I think that's all I got before we get to the news. Oh, I want to thank some new Patreon subscribers as well. So people who just joined the Patreon in the past week or so, I want to send a special thanks to Shane S., to Kimberly M., and to Ron M. Thank you so much for joining up, guys. Every penny that you give to the show goes right back into making it bigger and better and everything in between. Everything from the streaming services we use to the microphones, to the audio hosting, to the software I use to make all of our thumbnails and graphics. Everything we do here is free to you guys, but it is not free to create. None of it is. So any help you give is super appreciated. And if you can't help monetarily, you can always just click subscribe on this video. That's all we could ever ask from you. We'll be contributing to somewhere on the screen. Richard says, thank you, my friend. Will I be? I thought you meant, will you be contributing? You can contribute to them. But yes, I will be contributing to our sister podcast somewhere on the screen. Thank you for bringing that up. I should make an announcement. We have a third show now in the Somewhere podcast universe. Sorry, my dogs are fighting if I get distracted. The Somewhere podcast universe, the SPU. We have Somewhere in the Skies, Somewhere in the Ring, our wrestling podcast. Now we have Somewhere on the Screen, a movie review podcast hosted by my good friends Nick Westermeyer, Chris Moss, and Joseph Reese. We did a live stream launch party this past week for their episode 1. So if you go to the Somewhere on the Screen YouTube channel, you can go ahead and give that a watch and give their first episode a watch as well. They reviewed the 2017 Tom Cruise movie, The Mummy. Remember when they were going to start that whole dark universe with the Mummy and Dracula, the Wolfman? It was going to be like the Avengers of the monster movies. And it just did not work out. After that Tom Cruise epic bomb of a movie, they stopped. Full stop. They just stopped doing it. But yeah, they reviewed that movie in preparation to review a few other superhero movies. This is so cool, guys. So Somewhere on the Screen, it's not just a movie review podcast. There's a million of those out there. What they do is they do the show in cycles. So basically, they will do 3 episodes each month that have something thematically connects all of the movies, older movies. And then that leads up to a movie coming out in the theaters, a brand new movie that they will inevitably review as well at the end of the month. So it's really cool. They pick something thematically, or maybe it's an actor that's in all of the movies. But it's a really cool way to look back at the past of cinema, and propel us forward into these new releases coming out, and to appreciate movies again, to go to the theaters and see a movie. Nobody does it anymore, right? Sheesh. The last movie I saw in theaters, I think, was Presence, which was like that movie where you're the ghost, and the whole movie is you're seeing everything from the ghost's perspective. Awesome movie. If you haven't seen it, go see it. Really, really highly recommend that. It's only good with Brendan Fraser. Dalen says, yes, that's the Brendan Fraser mummy movies. Those are excellent. I love those movies. Very Indiana Jones-esque, but The Mummy with Tom Cruise, not so much. Okay. That's going to do it for all of that, guys. Go check out somewhere on the screen right now. You can subscribe to that channel. Suzanne or I will try to find it and put a link or something up. And also, if you want to help the show out, not through Patreon, you can do it in the Super Chat tonight. Our goal is to get 5 Super Chats. Doesn't matter how big, how small. I'll put the goal up at some point. But yeah, let's go for 5. Let's go for 5 Super Chats, and every penny goes back to helping us. And ask a question in the Super Chat. We'll answer them at the end of the show. But those are very quick ways to help out the show, and we appreciate it immensely. So thank you in advance. Okay, let's finally, 18 minutes in, let's get to the UFO news. And the first one, guys, that we are going to cover is a conference. Contact in the Desert is coming to us May 29th. That's what? In 4 days. From Indian Wells, I believe. Is that where it is? No, it's in Coachella. Oh, they're going in Coachella now. Nice. Super swanky. I love it. Contact in the Desert comes to us May 29th through June 2nd. If you guys don't know what Contact in the Desert is, you're going to learn about it in a minute from actor, guest speaker Thomas Jane. He went on the KTLA News, I believe, in Los Angeles to talk about Contact in the Desert, what to expect. But I've spoken at Contact in the Desert, albeit remotely. It was the year of the you-know-what, so I was not able to actually attend. Nobody was. It was all done virtually, but I got to speak, and I was super honored. It was such a good time. And yeah, let me know. Is anyone going to Contact in the Desert? I'd love to know if you're going and what you think of it afterwards. But let's go ahead and we'll give this first video a watch. Here is actor Thomas Jane talking about what he'll be talking about at Contact in the Desert and so much more. Let's give this a watch.
To scratch the surface of the question, are UFOs real? This world of consciousness, it all opens up.
Do you personally feel like you've had experience with the outer
now you're going to get personal. I knew nothing about any of this stuff and didn't care. 14 years ago, I had an experience that I could not explain. I think millions of people have had that experience. Been working on that for 14 years, and it led to writing.
Show me on the alien doll. I mean, as far as
you know, there's more and more interest in this. We're seeing it in Congress. We're seeing it in mainstream media. We're seeing it all over the world. So Contact is just like a part of that whole movement.
This convention.
Yeah, you.
I really want to.
There's going to be a lot of interesting characters.
I know. You can catch the full interview this weekend on KTLA's Do It Live. More on that in a minute. But it was a fascinating interview about aliens and the event. Contact in the Desert is what they're going to. They're talking about the latest in UAPs, AI, space travel, and more. Speakers also include Discovery Channel's Josh Gates and so many more. Ron Janik says this is the 11th event, set to be the biggest ever. It'll start May 29th, goes all the way to June 2nd. Tickets still available. You can find out more at contactinthedesert.com.
All right, there's our little promo for Contact in the Desert, free marketing, right? Captain Ron is the man, someone says. Agreed. He's a cool guy. Tom Jane's awesome too. He was on the show. If you guys go back into the archives, we did have Tom Jane on the show, so you can go back and listen to that interview as well. Sorry, Suzanne put up a super chat and I totally hijacked it. There it is. James Craig, thank you so much, buddy. Ryan, your thoughts on the future of ufology, please. I love that. And thank you to Andrew Self as well for the $4.99 super sticker. Truly do appreciate that. Hello to Layla's butt. There you go. Free show, guys. That's what you're paying for right there. Some sweet Layla ass. I can't believe I just said that. I'm sorry, Layla. I'm sorry. Doug Sprague's here. Doug Sprague is here. What's up, Dad?
Tired.
He's tired. He just got back from working. What was it? A baseball tournament? It fell. Yeah. It's been
Baseball tournament.
It's been fun. Do you want to say hi or no?
I look like crap. Hi, everybody.
Doug Sprague's in the house.
Been working since 6:30 this morning. I'm tired. I came home to mow my lawn, but my kids did it for me, so that's good.
No, it wasn't me.
I know it was my daughter.
I'm not taking credit. It's his very productive daughter who did that. Yeah. Papa Sprague is in the house.
Good to see everybody. I'm going to take a shower and have a beer.
Yes, well deserved. Cheers, my friend.
There you go.
Cheers. Cheers to Doug Sprague. Thanks for stopping in.
Love y'all.
Thanks, Dad. Oh, they're still going. Love it. Thank you, guys. Thanks for the Doug Sprague love. Always love being home and getting to see everybody. Dalen says hi. Awesome. Okay, where was I? Contact in the Desert coming to us very soon. You can check it out at contactinthedesert.com for more information on that. Cool. Let's get to this next story. This is a fun one. See if I can get this back in here. It's survey time, guys. A new survey just came out recently. This survey reveals belief in UFOs strongest among younger and less educated. Ouch. Ouch. What do you guys think about that? I don't feel so young. I definitely feel uneducated. That one I can agree with, for sure. Apologies for the dogs barking in the background as well, but that's what you get at Casa de Sprague. This is a new survey that has revealed that younger people and those without higher education qualifications are most likely to believe that the United States government is hiding the truth about UFOs. The nationwide poll carried out in April of 2025 by News Nation and Decision Desk HQ found that 44% of Americans think the government is concealing information about UFOs. While the headline figure is notable on its own, its breakdown of beliefs among different demographics that paints the most interesting picture. That's the image we have here up on the screen, guys. The survey shows that younger Americans are significantly more likely to believe in a UFO cover-up. Almost half of those aged under 30, known in the U.S. as Gen Z, said they believed the government was hiding something. The figure similarly, I can't say that word, high among millennials, those in their late 20s to early 40s, with 48% expressing belief in a cover-up. In contrast, only 34% of baby boomers, those born between 46 and 64, said the same. Belief in UFO secrecy is also higher among people from ethnic minority backgrounds, with 52% of Black respondents and 49% of Hispanic respondents saying they think the government is hiding the truth. Among white respondents, belief was lower at 41%. Education appears to play a role as well. Among those highest qualifications, let me see, 52% believe in government secrecy about UFOs with an equivalent of an A-level education, I guess, is what they're saying here. Among those who attended or graduated from university, belief was significantly lower at 36%. Overall, the poll found that 44% of Americans believe the government is concealing information, while 28% disagree. The survey also highlighted political and regional differences. In the U.S., voters are broadly split between the Republican and Democratic parties. Among those who identified as Republicans, 48% believe in a cover-up compared to 39% of Democrats. Voters who don't strongly identify with either party, known as independents, were closer to the national average at 44%. And last thing on the survey, guys, here. The survey was conducted online by TrueDot.ai from April 2025 using a sample of 1,448 registered voters. In the U.S., registered voters are those who have officially signed up for the elections. The poll was weighted to ensure it's reflected the population in terms of age, gender, race, education level, and location. So, interesting, right? I know we've talked in the past and it got a little controversial. Some people got pissed off at me for bringing it up, but that's your problem, not mine. These are statistics. They could be considered very biased. It's one group's statistics, so take it with a grain of salt. But I found it interesting. Gen Z and millennials are pretty much right on the same when it comes to belief in this stuff, which I found fascinating, whereas baby boomers were much lower. And we hear this a lot, you know, that the younger generations, they almost have this built-in core belief in extraterrestrial intelligence somewhere out there. They have that luxury of it being more and more possible as they get older. Whereas, you know, boomers and even before that, not so much. Like this stuff wasn't as talked about as much. And, you know, we weren't, even our own space exploration wasn't where it is today, obviously. I mean, look at how much this is going to change a survey like this in the next like 10 to 15 years because of the James Webb Telescope alone. So that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. I don't know what I am. I think I'm Gen Z. Yeah, I've got to be Gen Z. If I'm looking at this, I'm like somewhere on the cusp, but I'm pretty sure I'm Gen Z. The education thing is interesting too. You know, it kind of leans more towards, you know, people with less than a high school degree are more apt to believe in these things. And that's just factual. People who are less educated, education is a tool. It can be a weapon. It can be a savior. And the reason that, like, back in the day, you know, royalty were educated and the poor people were not, the plebeians, as it were, is because of education. Like, that's how you keep people down, is to not educate them so that they don't gain knowledge, they don't gain power, and they don't rise above. So it doesn't surprise me that people who are less educated are more apt to believe that the government is hiding UFO information, or that they believe that UFOs exist because they haven't had the other side of the coin as much. And we hear that all the time in the UFO world, like that these I guess you could call them grifters. I know that's a huge word in the UFO field constantly. They prey on the less educated. They prey on the less fortunate. These are people who are desperate to believe in anything, to find hope in something, something that will hopefully help them, save them from the disparity that they are in. And yeah, so that makes sense too. The last one is probably the most controversial, and that has to do with race. 52% Black, 49% Hispanic, and 41% white. And I brought this up, and a lot of people got mad, and you're probably going to get mad again. But it is basically a societal proven fact that white people have privileges that minorities do not in life in many different ways. I don't want to get into an argument. I can already see it forming in the YouTube comments, on Twitter, wherever you are. It is unfortunate that people who look like me, especially, you know, white cis men, we got it a little easier sometimes. I'm not saying all the time. That's another big argument that people come back with. I'm poor. Like, you're not talking about me. Maybe I'm not talking about you. I'm saying overall, white people have it easier in different ways in society. So that being said, that is probably why they have, like, they believe in this stuff less, because they have more in their life that is, you know, taking a lot of their time, you know, I know I'm not really making a lot of sense, but this survey does ring true to me in many different ways. So make of it what you will. I thought it was interesting. Layla apparently agrees. Layla, do you agree? Disagree? Bark if you disagree. She's still thinking about it. I wonder what the survey says about dogs. I don't know. We shall see. But yeah, I thought this story was interesting nonetheless. Ooh, here we go. Let those comments fly. I cannot wait to see what people have to say about this. What do I have next for you guys? Ah, lovely. Mwah. We're going to get into crop circle territory. But before we do that, let's take a very quick break, guys, only because I want to let Layla outside. I think that's what she actually wants. She doesn't want to see a UFO. She literally wants to go outside. So I'm going to take a very quick break here. We're going to come back and bring Suzanne in, and we're going to talk about these brand new crop circles that were just discovered near Stonehenge in the UK. So stick with us. We will be right back on Somewhere in the Live Stream. Greetings, everyone. Ryan Sprague here, host of Somewhere in the Skies. For over 7 years and more than 400 episodes, the Somewhere in the Skies podcast has always been free to listen to, but it's not free to create. So we offer several ways to help support our efforts and get rewards in return. If you listen to the podcast on Apple, you can click the subscribe button at the top of your Somewhere in the Skies feed to become a premium Apple subscriber. Or you can join our Patreon campaign with several tiers available. Both of these options give you the same benefits and rewards: ad-free episodes, early access to the main show, and bonus episodes and content. Help keep the lights on at the Somewhere in the Skies HQ, and help us continue to grow by becoming a Patreon subscriber at patreon.com/somewhereskies, or by clicking the subscribe button at the top of your Apple feed. Thank you for your continued support, and keep looking up. All right, welcome back to Somewhere in the Live Stream, guys. I was not able to let Layla out. Apparently, she has to stay in the house for now as yard work is being done. But hello, Nisa. Welcome. Hi to everybody. I know I didn't give out individual shout outs tonight, guys, but we got a lot to cover. I'll try to get to it at the end. But if you do have any burning questions, put them in the super chat. Help us reach our 5 super chat goal for tonight. Again, my special thanks to Andrew and James for those. And a link to Somewhere on the Screen is up for you guys as well in the chat. So check out our sister podcast over there. So thank you for that, Suzanne. What do you guys say? Should we bring her in to talk crop circles? I've got a cool video. Let's do this, Suzanne. I'll play the video, and then I'll bring you in after that. She's giving me the thumbs up. Sweet. So let's go ahead and get a little information on this. A mysterious crop circle has been discovered etched into fields in one of the world's most famous UFO hotspots, and that is Wiltshire in the UK. And it has become the epicenter of the phenomenon since the 1970s. And the bizarre designs were recently found just 13 miles away from Stonehenge in a farmer's field in the Wiltshire village of Sutton Veny on May 15th. So we got some sweet drone footage I'm going to show you guys of the crop circle. And then, yeah, let's bring Suzanne in and get her thoughts on these beautiful, beautiful crop circles. So cool. What did you guys think? That video was much longer than I anticipated. I apologize, but we got a hell of a good look at that crop circle. Celtic knot, pretty damn cool. Witch's knot, someone called it. A lot of people believe it's man-made. I get it. But I don't think I've ever actually talked to Suzanne about crop circles. What do you think, Layla? Again, she is all up in my vid tonight, blowing it up. Photo bombs. Let's bring Suzanne in and get her thoughts on this. Hello.
How are you?
I am great. Apologies again for bringing you in right at the top there. I'm rusty. I'm still rusty. Yeah, right.
No harm, no foul.
Good. Well, it's great to see you. I know it's been a while. You were traveling last week, so we did miss you. The chat missed you immensely.
Thank you all.
But yeah, you were traveling. You're home now, right?
I'm home. We're in Santa Fe, and we'll be back in Memphis in about a week. So
okay,
a little more traveling, and then the Grusch trial. Off we go to DC.
Oh my gosh, yes, we got some Grusch talk tonight.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for that, guys. He is. Right. More than we thought, which I love.
But how beautiful are those videos they make with the crop circles? It doesn't really matter to me what's doing them.
Yeah.
They're gorgeous. And the videos that come out are gorgeous as well.
Yeah. I'm trying to get it up on the screen. Oh, there it is. So, this happens a lot, Suzanne. These things pop up in these small farming communities in and around Stonehenge, which I find fascinating. Right. But the big thing for me is that they're still happening. This seemed to be like a thing of like the 90s, the 80s, the 90s. But now we're seeing them crop up a lot more lately throughout the UK. What are your thoughts on the crop circle phenomenon before we get to this one specifically?
Yeah, I think they're probably man-made, but I'm not sure that I even care. There are lots of theories on what causes them. The most obvious one are extraterrestrials, trying to talk to us. And I don't know that we're supposed to take substantive meaning from them, but maybe so, and maybe I'm missing it completely. And then, other people feel like they're energy vibes or whatever, energy fields, I guess, that create them perhaps from the bottom up. I don't know. And then, people out there figuring out how to do it. I had to give Richard Barron a shout out in the comments. He said something about that'd be cool if they invented basically tractor drones. Maybe that's how they're doing it.
Well, that wouldn't surprise me if like in the next 5 years, like they will be able to laser print these things.
I've always wondered about that too. Like, how are they getting those clean lines? Are they using laser levelers or whatever? But they're doing an incredible job. Whoever's doing it.
Right. And then you got to think like back in the 80s when they started actually starting around that time, maybe even the 70s. I'm not sure. I haven't done a lot of research into crop circles and how intricate those were back then.
And lasers are not involved in that at that time.
Yeah, definitely not. So I have been to one crop circle.
I don't know if I've ever.
This was in the United States, in the Midwest, actually. I forget where, somewhere in Iowa. I want to say outside of Davenport, Iowa. I was very young. Perhaps? Yep, cornfield. It was a cornfield, very Field of Dreams-esque. It was awesome, and the owner of the farm never claimed that it was like a UFO or anything, but he said this thing just showed up. So what could it be? He's like, I don't have an explanation. Nobody in town knows who it was. If it was a prank, it was a really well done prank. I never noticed. I didn't hear anything. The crops were right next to him, basically near his farm. And
so we should have heard something, you would think.
Something, if it was like drunk kids out there, or even just hearing like the things getting stomped down, if that's how they were being made. Nothing. It just appeared. And I will say, when I was in the center of that circle, it just felt weird.
Weird?
Like the hair was going up on my arms. It was.
Right.
It felt like an electromagnetic sort of like static. I don't know.
I would think that'd be
I don't know.
especially true over near Bath and Stonehenge because that place has a vibe like that without a crop circle, without
Yeah.
anything. It has a strange vibe to it.
It does.
Yeah.
And as touristy as Stonehenge can be nowadays, it's still going there is magical. You feel
It
the
is.
energy when you see these stones and how long they were there. And then I know we covered it on the live stream years ago at this point, how the stones got there
Exactly.
from like distances that they shouldn't have come from. It's
Right.
crazy.
And the science continues around Stonehenge. They have now put up these photos, I guess that's what you'd call them all. I think they're FLIR or infrared, something that shows there are more of those structures all around Stonehenge and that we're only seeing a tiny piece above ground, that there's a ton underground. So I don't know, but they're cool. They're cool.
So cool. So cool.
Yeah.
Did you ever see the movie Signs?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
love that movie. And I love like their sort of reasoning for the crop circles. It was like maps to come down and invade the
Yeah. Yeah.
Such a good twist. I
It's
love
a
me
great movie though.
M. Night Shyamalan. Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it.
I remember being a little afraid to go to the theater to see it. Like, is this going to be too much for me? But I loved it.
I get it. After seeing The Sixth Sense, I think that was his second sort of big one.
Yes.
I don't know
Another
if
favorite.
Yeah. Unbreakable was somewhere in there. I don't remember. Anyways, this is an M. Night Shyamalan history hour. What do you think? Let's say these things were extraterrestrial. What do you think the reasoning for them are? I'm just going to flat out ask you. I'm putting you on
Such a good question. And, maybe just additional exposure. I feel like a couple of things are going on, especially now. So, and we're going to talk, or you're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in Arizona, and all the sightings and collisions and all the stuff that's gone on the East Coast. There's a whole lot trying to get our attention right now.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't surprise me that this is folded in for attention getting. Now, what its true purpose is, I don't know. It is beautiful. So
it really
maybe
is.
they're just trying to get our attention, get us used to these unusual things happening.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And let's fast forward to this one specifically. Now, the fact that it's in like the UK and it's a Celtic knot.
Celtic knot.
Come on, guys.
Exactly. There's a message of some sort there. I'm not sure I'm qualified to answer it, but
yeah, I do believe this one's man-made, but it is gorgeous. And I don't think, here's a little paragraph I've got to kind of wrap this one up. The owner of the field where the Celtic knot was found was reportedly very upset that someone or something flattened his valuable crops. However, he's making the most of the setback by opening the field up to crop circle enthusiasts to come and view the pattern for a fee.
so smart though. And I saw that he was only charging a little bit. They didn't say the amount, but it wasn't some crazy number.
Right.
So I thought, fair enough. Fair enough. These are your crops. This is your field. Somebody snuck in there in the dead of night, human or otherwise. So, let people go see it and experience it.
Yeah, man. I mean, hey, we're Americans. If that's your property, you can do whatever the damn well hell you want with it, right?
Have at it. Charge an admission price. I'd love to know the people who visit it. And you can see some in that video you played.
Yeah, that was interesting.
On it. Yeah. I wonder if they're feeling anything different or if it's just a beautiful sight in person.
Yeah. I'd like to know that too.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if any more pop up. I always love when these stories, I have to keep saying it, crop up on us. I got it. My dad joke. It always like refreshes me when we get a good crop circle. It keeps that mystery going.
Yes.
Yeah. I love it. I love it.
I also love that part about the human brain. Give us anything and we will make a game of it or a piece of art with it or something. It's one of my favorite things about humans. And there are lots of things not to like about humans, but this aspect I love. Somebody dreaming beyond bread and water, beyond the basics of life. I'm going to go make a beautiful something in somebody's cornfield.
I love it. You're right. It does bring back the beauty in humanity and creativity and imagination. I wish more stories like this were involved both in the UFO field and in the world in general. So
It can be so negative out there that that's probably some of what we're feeling when we get one of these. Is they're beautiful and positive.
yeah, keep it coming, guys.
Yeah.
Keep them crop circles coming.
Exactly.
I was going to cover, there was this metal sphere story, but I'm going to skip over that one because I think it's been debunked and Jaime Maussan was involved. So we're not going to talk about that one. We're going to glaze over the spherical ball and we're going to move to this mysterious story, Suzanne.
This is a doozy.
Whoa.
Yeah.
A UFO crashed into a plane. It's finally happened. Wow, you brought this story to me. I'll read a little bit from the article, and then I've got a really good News Nation clip that they did with Ross Coulthart on this. So let's see here. Vice News reported on this one. The collision happened in January when an F-16 Viper jet struck what officials later described as an orange-white uncrewed aerial system, or a UAS. The FAA confirmed the object hit the plane's canopy mid-flight. That's the transparent bubble that protects the pilot's face. It was one of 4 separate drone encounters, they're calling it, reported that day. On March 25th, 2021, 2 F-35 pilots near Casa Grande described a large white UAS, USA. Sorry. It's Memorial Day tomorrow here in the States, guys. A large white UAS hovering motionless at 24,000 feet, something they said resembled either a small plane or a really, really big drone. Another F-35 crew spotted a glowing blue-green object while cruising at 36,000 feet, and the list goes on. I won't go through all of them. But a lot of these happened in restricted airspace as well, which is concerning, whether they were drones or genuine UAP or not. But yeah, this is troubling. This is what people like Chris Mellon have been talking about. Ryan Graves, obviously, for years now at this point, that one day, one of these UFOs is going to collide. And lo and behold, apparently it did back in January. So what do you think about this?
There are 2 things that I think are very interesting about this. You may recall after the Soul Foundation meeting, when we did the live stream that Sunday, we talked about Leslie Kane telling her very first story, her very first experience with a military whistleblower. And it was a pilot who had seen what he described as something that was like the size of a grapefruit out his front window of his jet. You know, if you're holding your hand at distance and you make your fist the size of a grapefruit, which to him meant that this object was enormous, and that it came flying directly toward him, and he braced for impact. And so now that was, I can't remember exactly, you might, but maybe 2018, 2017, something like that. And that's the story that got her started on this whole topic. And now here we are in 2025, and here's another one, you know, and this one did hit. It's not safe, and we don't need to be calling MUFON to report this. We need our government, who is using our dollars to fund these jets and put these pilots in the air, to take care of this. It's not okay. And then, you know, the other thing, Ryan, that I think is really interesting is the government logged over the course of about a year, big dog business somewhere. Yeah, something very important needs to be announced. That they had received or logged like 750 of these types of incidences, and that only 49 were marked case closed. They don't know what this stuff is. They don't know. They know they're not telling. 49 of 757.
Yeah,
that's a fail. That's a fail.
That is a fail. Layla agrees. Apologies today, guys.
She's appalled. She's just appalled. The American government at its worst.
We got to get Layla in touch with Ryan Graves on this one.
Yeah.
I do have a video. Let's go ahead and give this a watch. News Nation did a good write-up on this story. Ross Coulthard was involved, and they go a little bit deeper into what they think some of these UASs, UAVs, UFOs, UAP.
Have you heard this term UAS before this article? I have never heard anyone use that phrase.
Unmanned aerial system, I believe it stands for, right? I'm sure I've come across it in like FOIA documents and stuff, but yeah, not personally, like not in my.
Me either.
Yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, let's go ahead and give this a watch, and then we'll get going with our other stories here, because I know Layla is getting anxious. So let's go ahead and give this a watch.
FAA reports confirm that US Air Force pilots have reported numerous encounters with strange flying objects.
Sorry, give me 1 sec, guys. There it is.
Sometimes in swarms in their Arizona training ranges. One even struck the canopy of an F-16 Viper jet, damaging the multi-million-dollar craft.
So there was a concern among pilots,
safety concerns,
that there might be a collision with these objects they were seeing.
There could be.
Famed former Pentagon UAP investigator Lou Elizondo, who testified to Congress on these matters, agrees.
They're seeing something anomalous, aren't they?
Well, what I can tell you is that there's been a lot of activity, a lot of people reporting a lot of things out of Arizona, particularly along the border.
Could all these incidents have prosaic explanations? Well, sure. So before wasting our time and yours chasing UFOs, we went to chat with an expert on the ground.
Ali, at long last, lovely to meet you.
It's great to meet you, Rob.
News Nation's border reporter, Ali Bradley, has her own intel regarding flying objects on the border, drones used by cartels to smuggle drugs or conduct reconnaissance.
Now we're seeing drones more and more used to be kind of scouting tools, to watch Border Patrol, to be the eyes in the sky, if you will, so that they can send individuals over.
For the past decade, cartels have been using consumer-grade drones like this one, recovered with over 6 pounds of methamphetamine. But now they're upgrading the fleet.
The cartel used to use Chinese drones. Very normal, that's what you can buy at the store. But they switched over to using French and Russian agricultural drones.
So bigger drones.
They can move 5 to 10 kilos of drugs across the border. And the biggest issue there is the technology that they're using, we're not able to intercept like we were with the Chinese drones.
So what do you think, Ali? Do you think that what's happening here with the cartels could explain the anomalous activity that they're seeing in the military training ranges?
You know, the cartel wants intel on the United States. That's their MO. That is their #1 priority, is to always be one step ahead of us. So what better place to do that than to infiltrate our military installations in some capacity?
Unless you were in a coma in late 2024, you know that the mystery drone threat is more than mere speculation. For weeks, New Jersey residents were reporting strange aircraft in the area. When officials began to investigate, things only got more concerning.
They don't know where the drones are coming from, they don't know who's doing it, they don't know why they're doing it, but they say there's no credible threat.
The mystery behind these purported drones remains. The military admits it often cannot detect, track, or down these objects. Defence also recently admitted to one senator it's mystified as to their origin. News Nation's Rich McHugh has his own memorable experience while out reporting the story.
I think we've seen about 40 or 50 of these drones. In fact, there's one over my shoulder right there. One after another, these drones appeared in the night sky. If you look real close, they look like fixed-wing aircraft, about 8 to 10 feet wide, colorful, white blinking lights.
That is not a plane.
Definitely not an airplane, but what was it?
Are the Arizona sightings similar sophisticated drones? That's what the Defense Department's AARO, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, claims. But is that explanation plausible?
It is fact that UAP often, but not always, resolve into readily explainable sources.
But are these Arizona videos and all those reports to the FAA so easily explainable?
There's obviously something going on in Arizona along the border areas, more than just illegal immigration.
In fact, Bob and Andy are so certain they've submitted the videos to one of the country's top scientific groups for analysis.
We've analyzed those cases using physics and all the tools of science.
Okay, so I didn't mention, Suzanne, the collision happened over Arizona. I probably should have mentioned that.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in Arizona right now.
Apparently. So,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, this report from Ross Coulthard had a lot to do with the border and the mysterious drone sightings that occurred. The reason I wanted to show it is because of that. We had Gabe Lenners on the show maybe 5-6 months ago. He hosted that podcast called Obscurum, which was all about the mysterious drone sightings of, I believe, 2013 that happened across the Midwest. That was never solved. And neither was the ones that just happened over like New Jersey and the East Coast. And then now there seems to be a swarm of these things happening specifically in Arizona. And now
Exactly.
one collided. So, oh my God, it's just very
It was
troubling.
only going to end one way, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. If
And
we don't know what it is and we can't manage it.
yeah. Exactly. And again, like you said it best, we need things in place to take care of these things, not MUFON. Like they're not there to solve drone problems or UFO collisions. They're there to report a UFO sighting and a possible investigation into that. What we need is more stuff like what Ryan Graves is doing with Safe Aerospace, or some sort of like communication with, it sounds like, the Border Patrol and what's going on there. Because I do think a lot of this stuff probably does have to do with like drug smuggling and stuff
I
like
think so
that.
too. Don't you also think like this story and the one you want to talk about next, where AARO is asking for the public's help, all of this might be, I say this skeptically, might be a step in the right direction where we're closing information gaps and taking them out of their separate circles where they sit now and uniting them somehow, sort of like we did after 9/11, where we had our different strata of enforcement, local, federal, whatever, state, connected finally in the proper way. So maybe we're headed there.
Yeah, exactly. I hope so.
Mhm.
At least, like, while a lot of this might have prosaic explanations, that's okay. I'd rather our skies be safe, especially when you and I fly so much.
So much. You were brave to even consider Newark. I was like, nope, I'm not touching it.
And
They're
guess
gonna have to
where?
get themselves under control, and then I'll
Right?
go back.
Yeah. Guess where I'm flying out of, connecting in 2 days to go back to Canada. Newark
Oh
again.
gosh, of course. Well, your options are like what
They're
they are, right?
Pretty limited. Yeah,
Especially to Nova
unfortunately.
Scotia. That's not an
Yeah.
easy connector. Mhm.
No, it is not.
Yeah.
I've learned this
Been
the
there
hard
and done
way.
that.
Yeah, you have too. I know. Did you want to stick around for this Arrow story, or do you want to
Sure, if
head
you
back
want
into
to,
the chat?
head there in a wee bit.
Cool. So we'll get to the next one here. Arrow is back in the news. Unfortunately, I don't know.
I know. Every time I see it, it's like, yeah, hedge. What
You're
are
right.
they doing now?
What are they up to now?
Yeah.
Well, I can answer that for you. Arrow is exploring a new option to better track and manage both confidential and public reports. So this story comes to us from defensescoop.com that you found for us, Suzanne. The Pentagon wants to hear from contractors that can produce and maintain a secure software-based platform to track data, interactions, and other records associated with Arrow's ever-growing caseload of investigations into UAP. In a sources I don't know what I wrote here. It's going to be what this management system is that they want to create. It's going to be called the Joint Worldwide Intelligence Communications System.
They're going to use JWIX as
JWIX.
as the sort of the cog in the wheel, right? They're
Yeah.
yeah.
Here's
That's what made me think maybe we're going to unify our incoming information. If we're going to use JWIX, that is a central location. Is it such a central location that it gets black boxed? I don't know.
Good question. That might have to do with one of our later stories where I literally put in our headline, Grusch bitch slaps UFO insiders. That's a first for me, guys. A little politically incorrect, but I had to do it.
Had to be done.
It had to be done for the people. So in a statement, according to the Department of Defense, the intent is to field this capability for AARO personnel and AARO HQ and for use at supporting organizations. AARO currently uses a variety of tools for its mission management needs and seeks to integrate them. But a case management system or CMS will assist AARO in tracking the status of the UAP reports in its holdings and in meeting its records management requirements, particularly as the office works to launch a public UAP reporting mechanism. That's what really caught my attention.
I thought so too. I thought so too.
Like all this confidential stuff, these SCIF meetings.
Great. Yeah.
Great. But what the hell do we get to know from that stuff?
Right.
Nothing.
Right. And then what are they going to do with it? So even if the public does report eventually in this system that they're working on, what are they going to do with it? That's what we've got to watch. Are they going to use it constructively and share it? Or is it too just going in files and we never see or hear anything again about it?
Yeah. Imagine how many cases
AARO
has that we will never hear about. It's a little frustrating. So basically, yep, they're going to use JWIX, as James Craig said, a secure network for the DoD. They want someone to create this sort of software in place to manage all of this stuff. Wouldn't that be so interesting? Like as a software developer, your first job is to create a case management system for a UFO investigation group for the Pentagon. That's just like, what?
I need to send this link to my brother who lives in Loudoun County, as I've mentioned before, and he is a computer whiz, including with the government, with some serious clearances. So maybe my brother needs to pick this whole task up.
Yeah, get a little extra chump change too, right?
Yeah.
Government pays well, I heard. Last paragraph on this one, Suzanne. The performance period would likely be set for one base year with options for up to 4 follow-on years. The DoD declined to share further information regarding the total cost estimate for any future CMS procurement. They also did not provide an update on the number of UAP reports and resolutions in AARO's current investigative portfolio, since leadership revealed the receipt of more than 1,600 in November of 2024. So,
is anybody shocked?
Yeah, I'm not too shocked. But
I'm
you know
not
what?
shocked either.
Like, it's okay. And the reason I say that is because they are putting out their like annual reports. They are like sort of, what's that word? Not deposed, but like they have to give out at least 2 like annual reports, biannual reports, or something.
Now legally required.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So it doesn't surprise me that right now they're not willing to share what additional reports or how many cases they've gotten on this. This is a story more about, hey, we need help by the tech people out there to create something because we're actually getting overwhelmed. And that says something right there.
Right.
That people, probably a lot of military, are now reporting their UFO sightings, close encounters. And that was the point of all of this.
Exactly. There is a temperature change on all of that, both in Congress and the public and in the military. We're watching a temperature change.
Yeah.
In openness from individuals, not from institutions, but from individuals. Although I will say, I do think AARO has taken one step forward from when Mr. Kirkpatrick was managing it.
Agreed.
So jury's out in my mind, but I do think we've taken one little step forward.
I think so. And apparently AARO was present in a SCIF last week. We covered that last week. We will be covering it again tonight because we've learned some new things about what may have happened in that SCIF. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, cool. So I'll I'll let you go back into the chat.
All righty.
And then I've got a couple more stories here. We'll end with a fun Steven Spielberg one, the guy who made me late to seeing my family, but I will forgive him because this movie sounds amazing that he's coming
Can't
out
wait.
with. Yeah. But yeah, I'll throw you back into the wild.
All right.
Chat,
Bye, everybody.
And we'll talk to you soon.
All right. See you in the chat.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. Maybe we'll bring her back in if she wants. I feel bad kicking you out. I just know you love being in the chat during these things. But you let me know. Let me know if you want to cover if you have anything to say on these stories. But let's get to the next story. How do I get it? Okay, here we go. Ooh, whoa. Those faces scared some people, I bet. Love them or hate them. I know we have a little of both in all camps probably here tonight. On your screen, if you're watching this, I have an image of the President of the United States of America. That is Donald J. Trump. And the gentleman on the right there is, of course, Luis Elizondo. And this story came out through News Nation. And the headline was, the Trump administration thinks the U.S. can handle the truth on UFOs. Why do they say that? Because Luis Elizondo told News Nation that. So let's go ahead and watch this clip and get a better understanding of what Elizondo might mean by this and if it's worth pursuing.
Government finally coming clean about what it knows about UFOs. There's a new report by the Federal Aviation Administration that admits in 2023 an orange and white UFO crashed into an Air Force fighter jet during a routine training mission. And the UFO caused so much damage to the $60 million jet that it was forced to land. And that is not the only new evidence that they released. Trump's top science advisors recently admitted that the government may have anti-gravity technology. Look at this.
Our passenger planes are slower than they used to be. Our trains crawl compared to those in other parts of the world. Our cars do not fly. We are capable of so much more. Our technologies permit us to manipulate time and space.
Manipulate time and space. Oh my gosh, I'm surprised that hasn't been a bigger story. So why has the Trump administration decided to disclose all of this now? I want to ask former Pentagon UFO whistleblower and investigator Lou Elizondo. Lou, it's nice to have you with us. First of all, the UFO that crashed into the fighter plane, what do we know about that?
Well, the problem is that we really don't know much, and therein lies the challenge, right? When you have an incident involving a $40 million combat aircraft, and only the details now are starting to be released through Freedom of Information Act and FAA, there's a problem. Now, we've been saying for the last 8 years since I've been out that there have been dozens upon dozens of these near-air collisions that have occurred with military and civilian and commercial pilots. This is not just happening with military aircraft. Now, this is the first time we heard of an actual mid-air collision, but some of these objects are coming so close to combat aircraft that they are literally splitting that combat formation right down the middle. So you can imagine how close combat aircraft fly when they're flying in formation. Now imagine a UAP coming in right between them. So this is nothing new. And I think, you mentioned earlier, why is the administration having the conversation now? And I think it's because this has really become the worst kept secret in American history. It's been 80 years of suppression and misinformation, and we're at the point now where I think the administration realizes that America can handle the truth.
Yeah, it does feel like more has been trickling out over the last few years. You've been working with the FBI on their investigations, their FBI investigations. What can you tell us about what they're finding? Is there anything new there?
Yeah, well, I'll say this. First of all, America is getting a heck of their money spent very well with the FBI. I'm absolutely amazed how well they're doing. In fact, they're running laps around the Department of Defense's AARO program that was established specifically to look at UAP. And the FBI team, it's a small but scrappy team of folks, are really doing one heck of a job. And I think if you look at Luna's recent statement that she said when she was asked about the FBI meeting that we helped organize in the SCIF, she said it was a 10 out of 10. and that I guess AARO now has some explaining to do. So the FBI is doing fantastic, but also we can't forget about Tulsi Gabbard and the DNI, the Director of National Intelligence, and the entire intelligence community. There are pockets of excellence that are working very, very hard behind the scenes also to try to help boost the FBI's efforts. And I think we're finally getting a congealing, if you will, of the right people, the right resources, the right authorities to finally shed some light on this incredible mystery and give the information not only to Congress, but the American people.
We only have about a minute left, but the clip that we played in the intro, I just kind of find to be fascinating. The top White House science advisor saying that the U.S. has anti-gravity and something about time technology, almost like it almost just kind of slipped out. What are we to make of that?
Well, you're talking about the engineering of the space-time metric. And that is something that we looked at in ATIP, and before that, the programs before mine, and certainly afterwards. This is nothing new. What is new is that the government is starting to become increasingly more transparent on what it knows about these incredible enigmas that we call UAP.
Well, Lou Elizondo, we appreciate you coming on tonight. We appreciate you always fighting to find the truth and bring it to us. And I hope you have a nice weekend.
My sincere honor and privilege. Thank you so much.
All right, that was a lot to digest for sure. Some really good stuff, some not so good things, but interesting nonetheless that they would bring up the whole like space-time thing. Like that was weird. Definitely was not expecting that. The idea that the Trump administration thinks the public can handle the truth. That is not an official statement by the White House, not by Trump, not by Luna, not by what's the guy's name there? Dermot, that guy, whatever his name is. Burchett, thank you. Oh wow, I can read lips. I'm impressed with myself. Wow. But yeah, it's these are Elizondo's thoughts and opinions on if this administration is open to doing that, is closer to doing that. We just don't know. The Federal Secrets Task Force has been doing a lot in the past month or so. I will give them that for sure. These two SCIF meetings that took place, the event that Elizondo was a part of, which we were very critical of for very good reasons. Most people were, was not the best. But the SCIF meetings themselves seem to go a little bit better. What we learned and what Elizondo talked about in this clip was that the FBI is involved in UFO investigations. And they are doing a heck of a better job than AARO itself at the DOD. To the point where even Anna Paula Lee, there's too many names. Thank you. Yes. Anna Paulina Luna. Okay. Man, she's like the three names, like Jeremy, Lockyer, Corbell. I love it. Which is our next story. That she was very pleased with how one of the meetings went with the FBI. Right, Layla? Man, she really wants to get out there. I'm sorry, guys. I know. Soon. She was very impressed with the FBI and their small group that are investigating UAP, to the point where she even said, it's making us reconsider AARO. Which, whew, man, could you imagine if the FBI took all the funding that AARO had and put it into their UAP investigations? Would we get more answers, less answers? But it seems right now we're now going to have a war going on between the FBI and AARO for the UFO supremacy of either transparency or non-transparency. I don't know. Or coming to some conclusions on some of these things. So that's what I found most interesting about the clip. Not that the Trump administration is any closer to revealing the truth about UFOs, but that the FBI is involved. They were a part of a SCIF meeting and that they got some good stuff. We even mentioned last week that during one of those FBI SCIF meetings, several members of the UAP investigative group there actually saw these UFOs, these UAPs. It wasn't just reports that they took down. So It's fascinating. It's giving me a little bit more hope with all this stuff. I know last week I was a huge Debbie Downer when it came to all of this UFO bureaucratic BS. But some of these stories have me interested and have me laughing, especially with the headline of our next story, which comes to us from the one and only Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp. And the headline is David Grusch bitch slapped AARO in a skiff. I can't believe I got to put that on YouTube. I wonder if we're going to get demonetized for that. I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Speaking of which, the super chat is still open, I think, unless I keep using the B word. If you want to help out the show, guys, you can do it that way. We'll answer your super chats at the end as we draw near here. But this interview came on the Weaponized not an interview, a conversation between Corbell and Knapp on their Weaponized podcast about some of the information they obtained about what happened in a skiff. Yes, David Grusch was in a skiff last week. There was the whole joke of the skiff flu that Chris Mellon, Lou Elizondo, and David Grusch called out sick to a skiff meeting they were invited to. Took UFO Twitter by storm. People were making memes, having fun with it, but also very angry that these men finally had the opportunity to be in a skiff and they all didn't go. Apparently, that was not the case for David Grusch. He did attend one of these meetings because he knew representatives of AARO were going to be there, and he wanted to keep an eye on what they were saying. And apparently, he wasn't too happy with some of the stuff said in that meeting. But I'm going to let Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp take it from here and see what they had to say. So let's give this a watch.
There are 2 classified briefings, and I think that's coming out public enough where I can say something. So one of those classified briefings on UAP the week of the 12th was actually in a skiff with David Grusch and also Representative Burleson, and AARO was supposed to be informing Representative Burleson and others about the UAP topic. Then you got David Grusch sitting there looming over, making sure they don't say something that's not true. I mean, through little birdies, I heard some of possibly some of the things they tackled. All I got to say is we are so lucky to have someone like David Grusch sitting in a room like that so that AARO can't obfuscate, lie, and pretend they're doing something they're not. There's probably conversations going on what types of analysis they were doing to debunk things. Man, I'd love to have a guy like David Grusch sitting right there behind, whose job it was at NRO to look at stuff like that, who has a deep knowledge, came forward as a whistleblower, and was able to kind of, I hope, in that room, was able to bring everybody to brass tacks. Word on the wash, birdies tell me that it was awesome to have David Grusch in that room because he kicked some ass for UFO transparency.
Yeah, it would be great to be in that room, be a fly on the wall, or see a transcript or a tape. I don't think we're ever going to see that, but we do have little bits and pieces of what it was like. And I guess, I think he gave a bitch slapping to a couple of people at a couple of issues, including ones that we are involved with. Some things that we've been reporting.
Some cases, yeah. That's what within staffers and within members, we know a lot of people, and maybe once in a while we got sources inside, right? So it's kind of cool to hear that it was that there was that classified briefing. So that was really cool.
Things I never thought I would hear George Knapp say. Amazing. I'm going to bring Suzanne back in because I want to get her thoughts on Grusch being in a skiff finally. I definitely want to get her thoughts on that because she has been like Grusch centric for the past year or so, dealing with the lawsuit stuff. Like personally, she has been talking to the people who are involved with this lawsuit. And she will be going to the trial of David Grusch as well. And yeah, it's coming up, guys. It's going to happen quite soon. But I want to get her thoughts on what we just heard. And maybe she can update us a little bit. I know we played her video last week, but tell us her thoughts and where this is all heading with Grusch. He's been a busy little boy for sure. So let me bring her back in. All right, you are back.
Hi again.
Hello.
Well, let me just start with this. this is how this is freaking done. You put somebody like David Grusch in the room with the Jabberwockies and just let him talk, and then let him talk.
Yeah.
And now you can have some accountability, and now you can have some substance that is correct. So somebody, smart idea, get him in there. And it shocks me because this trial is what, 2 weeks away, maybe?
Is
But
it?
I guess
Wow.
his legal team thought, well, you're in a SCIF, and a SCIF can't be used against you in this trial, no matter what you say. So I guess they thought that was safe enough. I think as a lawyer, I would have approved him doing that too, especially when all the SCIF flu stuff started. Like, no.
SCIF flu.
Yeah, and I love that too because their mouths are moving all the time. Good way to shut them up.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Sorry, I'm trying to get in here. Layla finally is on my lap. Hi.
There she is, that
She's
sweet
here.
girl.
She heard Grusch and she came a calling.
Uh-huh.
Right? What do you think of David Grusch? What do you think of Grusch?
I will tell everybody that I'm still watching that docket. And last week we reported that the trial is set for June 5, I think, or 6, June 6, maybe. And, but the defense, the defense, the Loudoun County Sheriff's Office got in big legal trouble, and they got ordered to completely redo a very important substantive motion. And all this stuff had deadlines to it, and it was so much work. And I thought this thing might get continued, but they're meeting the deadlines.
They are.
So
Okay.
I have it could still happen, but I am more hopeful today than I was a week ago that it's actually going to go. And I know that Mr. Grusch would like to get out from under this one way or the other.
Yeah.
The other.
Right. Now, we watched your video last week about sort of the updates on what is going on with the trial. Now, you mentioned just what happened there, but is it still true that there will no longer be a jury now? Is that correct?
Still true. It is still true. And boy, that's an interesting and hard decision for a lawyer to make. I suspect that they have made the right decision to do that, because once they had that big motion called a crave order, where they're forcing Loudoun County Sheriff's Office to hand over the 2018 police report that is the basis of everything. I think that when I analyzed that, it looked to me like you don't want sympathetic juries here. You want a cold analytical eye of a jurist.
Yeah.
And now I don't have any way to know if that's what they're thinking, but it almost has to be, because why else would you let your jury go when you have been so wronged in theory, right?
Yeah.
No. But empathy might get in the way in reverse, right? If it's a hard spanking, so to speak, legally, it might backfire. So against Loudoun County, against Grusch for Loudoun County, I guess is what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah. You'd be surprised like how those things can work against you with just a simple flip of the switch. So,
well, it's easy to say, well, I'm just going to take somebody to court, but any lawyer worth their salt will tell you they've won cases they shouldn't have won, and they've lost cases they shouldn't have lost, and not through things like mishandling or malpractice. Lawyers have bad days. Witnesses have bad days. And this is a shocker. Judges have bad days. And all of those people bring to a trial their own personal perspective and drama and how they're feeling that day. And, things can go wrong in a really good case. So we'll see.
Yeah, that is such a good point, because I think I often look at the judicial system, I guess, or whatnot, as like this autonomous thing that is set in stone and works the same way every single time.
Right.
But you're right.
And it doesn't.
No, God, no.
And the minute you hear someone say, I'm just going to sue, it's like, I'm minute and beaten. Hang on a sec, hang on. It's not quite that simple. It's not cut and dried. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, I haven't spoken to you actually since the 3-part Immaculate Constellation series came out with Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp. Did you have an opportunity to watch any of that?
I did, and I would encourage everyone to do it. I think I posted on the Facebook page the 9 different classifications of UAP that they're finding, but Skywatcher has connected with this group called ProPixel, and I don't know if I connected them, but I connected them on Twitter. Someone else may have too. It's like, you two, you have all this equipment and you have all this equipment. You two need to be together, and they are. And they're doing incredible work, and they are finding these UAP in broad daylight. This isn't out, doing the Greer CE5 thing in the middle of the night with lasers. This is not that. They are in a desert. I suspect Utah, Arizona, New Mexico. I'm not sure. And they're getting these things using all sorts of radar and FLIR and ultraviolet and capturing them, and they're capturing them with regularity. And not only that, they say they can summon them now with psionics. Now, I've got 1 million questions approximately about the whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm not sure we all need to be out there summoning something we don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But apparently they can do it predictably. So hopefully we'll hear a little more. I did a lot of digging after that last episode on what is this dog whistle that they say they're using to call these things, and it's not clear. It's not clear. I can tell you it is clear that it is an extremely low vibration sound of some sort that is machine made. But beyond that, I can't find anything yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Not yet.
Maybe as these episodes slowly unravel, we'll learn more about the cosmic dog whistle, as it were.
Exactly.
Now that's Skywatcher. But what are your thoughts on the Matthew Brown Immaculate Constellation thing? I'd love to get your thoughts on that too. Were you able to watch any of that or catch
I'm sorry.
any of the
Yes,
clips?
I think I think he's telling his truth when I put my lawyer hat on and watch body language and facial expression in conjunction with the words and that he's choosing and how they're being said. I also think it's true that he was terrified and that he had to come forward. He got pushed forward in order to feel like he could stay alive.
Agreed.
And I know they have a dead man switch in place for him, which I think says a lot. If something happens to him, lots of stuff is going to come out through avenues that no one has no one knows where he's put these switches. But I also was not thrilled with how it ended with, God is real, boom, roll the ending credits. Not helpful. I don't know how to put that in context. I spent way too much time in the week following that one trying to figure out what could that mean? Well, it's endless. I don't know. I gave up. But I guess maybe more will come out later. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was a very first of all, I agree with you. I do believe this man firmly believes that his life is in danger for the information he's brought forward. Now, if that information is credible or not is a completely different story. And I think that's where this story is right now with Immaculate Constellation. Everyone's like, okay, like, we're happy you came forward, but like, where'd you get this from? What's this like war games scenario thing going on? Corbell kind of, it is.
Because it could literally be war game material and nothing else. And now I suspect he probably has the expertise to vet that, and that he did vet it before choosing this treacherous path, right? I mean, he has taken some serious risk in order to push this perspective forward. So, but I don't know. Right now, there are too many loose pieces, too much to tie up, and not enough information.
Exactly. And Corbell did say, no, it is not just a war game. So I'm going to hold him to that. Apparently, there's more of these people that are going to come forward. Matthew Brown mentioned that in the last episode. He said, if I'm gone, there's 3 more behind me.
Right.
I love that. That gave me chills when he said that.
Me too. I think it's part of his dead man switch. If something happens to me, the following people have agreed to step forward.
Boom, boom, boom. I love
Right.
it. But I would agree. I don't, the God is real thing really threw me for a loop. I'm like,
Yeah.
come on, guys. You
Yeah.
literally could have ended the episode 30
Anyway.
seconds earlier.
Or
but
just one moment to put it in context. But I
Yeah.
do, there are those witness accounts, and you may have covered some of them in the years, but where a human will ask an NHI, is God real? And the response they get is yes, but not what you think.
Mhm.
So maybe
Absolutely.
it's along those lines, but I just could not find anything at all that would help us understand what he meant.
Yeah, and I mean, like, he brought up these ideas of like what is reality, what is God, and all that. And I'm like I super respect that. I've interviewed so many witnesses who believe their quote unquote ET experience was spiritual in some way,
Sure.
somehow connected to God. That's fine. Like, I'm all like, live your life, live your faith. It's a beautiful thing to have something to believe in this world.
It is.
Like, that's great. But when you are coming at us in this 3-part series with all this like sort of technical nuts and bolts sort of thing, and then right at the end be like, reality's not real, we're living in a matrix, God is real, boom, it's like,
Right.
hold up.
I don't know what to do with it. Like, is he talking when reality isn't real? Like the Andromeda paradox, where you and I are on the same block and you're sitting on a bench and I'm running past you and we're both looking at the Andromeda galaxy. And you're seeing one thing, I'm seeing something else, because time changes the perception of reality.
Right.
And if I'm a block away from you, I'm seeing a totally different time error, even though we're both looking at the Andromeda galaxy. So is he talking about that? I don't know. A little minute of explanation would have been so helpful.
Yeah, I don't,
I don't know.
I just don't know. But welcome to ufology as
That's
usual. I love
One more
it.
unanswered question.
Awesome. Well, I've got one more clip. Our boy Steven Spielberg, who again made me 4 hours late to seeing my family. I blame him specifically. I'd like to hear from his people as soon as possible. I've got a clip about his upcoming movie, Disclosure. He was recently on Steven Colbert.
I loved the interview.
Yeah, it was a good one. It was a
It
good
was.
one. You sent this to me with some other clips from our good buddy
Dan
Warren. Yep, over at Fifth Pillar,
Yeah.
and Dan had some fun things to say about a movie that came out before Close Encounters about UFOs. Spielberg's connection with NASA and the Air Force when it came to doing Close Encounters. That was cool. But I found this clip pretty interesting, the one with Steven Colbert. So we're going to end the show tonight with that, Suzanne. So I'll let you go back into the chat as we begin to close things up. But thank you for your insights on all of that, as usual. And yeah, we'll see you in the chat.
All right. Bye again.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Oh, man. I should just have her on the whole time from now on. But then who would you guys talk to in the chat? I guess to each other. But let me see if we missed anything. Did I miss anything, Layla? Dang. Every time. Oh, there it is. There's the yapping. Okay. Let's go ahead and play this clip and we'll start to close things out here, guys, because I have a cookout to go to next door. My mom, her sister actually lives right next door to her. So my aunt lives next door. They're doing a cookout. We're going to have some good burgers, dogs, steaks, all the good stuff. But before we do that, let's end this tonight with Steven Spielberg talking about his upcoming movie, tentatively titled Disclosure. This is him talking to Steven Colbert about that.
No.
All right. That's going to do it for that clip, guys. I don't want to get a copyright strike, but that was awesome. Now, it wasn't so much about his upcoming movie, I know, but I feel like there were hints of it in that conversation, things we will probably see, hear, or be somehow infused into the story of Disclosure, the upcoming Steven Spielberg movie. I am so excited for this movie. The fact that it's like based on the modern world of ufology, it's almost like a sequel to Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Maybe it is. What if it's literally Close Encounters of the Third Kind 2? Or like Close Encounters of the Fourth Kind? Wait, that was a bad movie. Don't watch The Fourth Kind. I hate that movie. Mostly because it scares me. But yeah, what if this is sort of this follow-up to Close Encounters? You know how like at the end, those people went on the ship to go back to the planet of the aliens. They brought back other humans. They, swapped humans for aliens. What if like those people are finally coming back from Project Serpo? That would be interesting. That'd be pretty interesting. And then we find out all along that it was just us from the future. Like you mentioned, maybe that's what this movie will be about. Play with time and space when it comes to the disclosure of all this stuff. I mean, he just rattled on so much interesting things in this small clip here. And he knows his stuff. He knows his stuff. I mean, people think that he knows a lot more than he's letting on, and that he is the slow disclosure of Hollywood. I don't know. It's a compelling case to be made for sure. But nonetheless, I'm very much looking forward to his brand new movie coming out. I am not looking forward to going through Newark again because of him filming there. Anyways, that's my personal problems. Guys, this has been so much fun tonight. I want to thank Suzanne for hopping in not once but twice to give her insights on everything tonight. But before we go, I do have a brand new episode of the podcast dropping in just a couple hours here, where I'm going to be talking about my top 5 favorite UFO cases. And I shared these with my good buddy and colleague, Michael McMillian, over at the Bigfoot Collectors Club podcast. So that'll be coming out in just a couple hours for you guys. What are my top 5 most convincing, most favorite, most exciting UFO cases that I put in front of anyone who asks me, is this stuff real? You can find that tonight on all major podcast outlets and on right here on YouTube as well. And if you want it early, it's available right now on Patreon and on Apple Premium. So if you're on Apple listening to this, you can click the subscribe button at the top of your Apple feed, and that'll get you to be a new premium subscriber where you'll get early access to all of our shows and also, other benefits as well, bonus content, bonus episodes, and that goes for Patreon as well. So if you would like to help out the show that way, you can do that as well. Patreon.com/SomewhereSkies. Let me go back up and see if I missed any questions. I want to get to James Craig's here to sort of close things out here. Here we go. Ryan, your thoughts on the future of ufology, please. Okay, James. So last week I got a little I got very negative, and I want to apologize to you guys. I basically said that I hated ufology. Ufology was dumb. Suzanne's laughing. Ufology is dumb. Like, I'm not taking that back, but I do not hate ufology by any stretch of the imagination. I've been studying this topic, excuse me, since I'm getting excited. Since I was 13 years old, I've been researching and studying UFOs. I love the friends and colleagues I've made. I love the mystery. I love when a case can be solved. I love when a case can't be solved. That's what keeps me going. It's a lot of the skiffs and Congress and this and that just gets so overwhelming and confusing and like frustrating when none of that information is getting to us. That's when it kind of upsets me, and it makes me want to get out of this field. But that's not happening. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to continue doing this. I'm going to continue telling these crazy ass stories about these UFOs throughout the years. And I'm going to continue partying, having UFO parties with you guys as much as I possibly can. So, yes, I'm back. I'm good. I'm excited. I'm having a beer. I'm talking UFOs. Life is great. I want to send my love out to all of you guys. Thank you for joining us tonight. And tell a friend. Tell a friend who might like something like this. Maybe they're a little UFO curious. Send them our way. We got enough for them. We've got over 400 episodes of the podcast, over 200 episodes on YouTube right now of these live streams and special videos. Have them check that out. All the links are in the show notes below. You can support us on Patreon as well. All of that stuff. But yeah, I don't know if there's going to be a live stream next week. I'm heading back to Canada this Tuesday. So I don't know my filming schedule yet for next Sunday, but I will let you guys know as soon as I find out. I'll throw it on the, the posts here on YouTube. I'll put it on our social media. You guys, well, Suzanne will be the first to know, but you guys will be second to know after that. But we covered so much tonight. I got to go have some burgers, dogs, and some steak. I'm wishing all of you guys a very happy Memorial Day if you're in the United States tomorrow. And to everyone else, happy spring. I hope it's beautiful wherever you are right now. And yeah, it was fun hanging out with you guys for almost 2 hours tonight. But it is time to go. Enjoy your Sunday afternoon, your Sunday evenings, and we will definitely talk soon. So I will leave you, as always, guys, with our mantra, and that is keep your feet on the ground, but never stop searching somewhere in the skies. Take care.